AITA for exposing who paid for my sister's house after my mom handed me a trash bag? I'm Audrey, 34, and in my family, being the oldest daughter has always meant being the emergency contact nobody thanks. My parents call me the responsible one like it's a compliment, but what they really mean is that I'm the person who shows up early, stays late, brings the extra folding chairs, and somehow ends up paying for the thing everyone else takes credit for. My younger sister Leah is 29. I didn't grow up hating her. I need to say that because people hear stories like this and assume there was always some jealous older sister sitting in the corner counting who got more cake. That wasn't me. I loved Leah. I helped her with homework, drove her places when I first got my license, covered for her when she missed curfew, and told myself that families were supposed to bend for the person who needed bending for. The problem was that Leah never stopped needing, and my parents never stopped bending everyone else around her. In our family, Leah was sensitive. Leah was overwhelmed. Leah was still figuring things out. I was fine. If I came home tired, I was fine. If I paid for something and nobody remembered, I was fine. If I sat at Thanksgiving with dish soap up to my wrists while Leah took selfies with cousins in the living room, I was fine. Being fine became my assigned seat. At family dinners, I would walk in with a foil tray or a bag of ice, and my mom, Marilyn, would hand me a dish towel before I had even taken off my coat. "Oh good, Audrey's here," she would say. "Can you help me clear this?" Leah had a hard week. Leah always had a hard week. One year I bought my dad Dennis a really nice set of tools he had been talking about for months. I saved for it, wrapped it carefully, and even wrote a card because he's the type of man who pretends he hates sentimental things and then keeps cards in a drawer. He opened it, nodded, and said, "Very practical. Thank you." Leah had forgotten it was his birthday until that afternoon. She stopped at a gas station and bought him a card with a cartoon fishing pole on it, even though my dad doesn't fish. My mom got teary and said, "That is so sweet." She tried. That was the family rule. Leah tried. I delivered. If Leah forgot Mom's birthday, somehow I should have reminded her. If Leah showed up late, I should have told her the time more clearly. If Leah ran out of money, I was asked to cover just this once. And if I hesitated, my mom's voice would go soft and disappointed. Family doesn't keep score, Audrey. I believed that for too long. The first time money became a real pattern was Leah's car payment. It was late on a Tuesday. I had already changed into sweatpants, and I was eating cereal for dinner over the sink because I was too tired to cook. My phone buzzed with a text from my mom. "Can you call me when you get a second? Don't worry, nobody died." That was my mother's way of making something sound smaller than it was. When I called, she said Leah had gotten behind and was embarrassed. It was one car payment. Just one. My dad was stressed. My mom didn't want Leah to feel like a failure. "She's 26, I said. "Why is this coming to me?" Mom sighed like I had missed the point on purpose. "Because you're stable. Because you can handle it. Because your sister is already upset and I don't want to pile on." I stared at my banking app for almost 10 minutes. I remember the blue light of the screen on my kitchen counter. I remember typing Leah's car payment loan into the memo line because some small part of me wanted proof, even back then. After I sent it, Dad texted me. "Appreciate it. Don't mention it to Leah. She feels bad enough." Leah never thanked me. My parents didn't bring it up again. 2 weeks later at dinner, Mom told Aunt Carol that Leah had been so responsible lately. I looked down at my plate and swallowed the comment sitting on my tongue. That was how it went for years. A little money here. A bill there. Groceries when Leah was between checks. A credit card payment because Dad said it might affect her credit. Decorations for family parties because Mom was stretched thin. Picking up the cake. Bringing the chairs. Refilling the drinks. Being told I was too sensitive if I noticed nobody else was asked. I started saving screenshots about 8 months before the housewarming. I didn't announce it. I didn't threaten anyone. I just stopped trusting the family version of events. Every Zelle transfer, every Venmo request, every text that said, "Just this once," I saved. I made a folder in my email called Family Money. It felt pathetic at first, like I was turning into one of those people who keeps receipts from 10 years ago just to win an argument. Then my dad asked me to send $1,200 toward Leah's credit card balance because, in his words, "We need her mortgage approval clean," and Leah texted me, "You always fix things anyway." That was the moment I stopped feeling silly. When Leah announced she had bought a house, the family group chat exploded. Leah sent a photo of herself holding keys, standing in front of a front door with a big grin and a caption that said, "Hard work finally paid off." My mother sent 12 heart emojis. Dad wrote, "Proud of you, kiddo." Aunt Carol said, "Look at you, homeowner." Cousins liked the message. Someone sent a gif of confetti. I stared at the picture for a long time. I wanted to feel only happy for her. Part of me was happy. Buying a home is a big deal, and Leah did look proud in that picture. But I also knew I had sent money 3 weeks earlier after Dad said Leah had a small closing-related emergency, and it would be easier if it came from me instead of them moving money around. I had asked, "Is this a gift or a loan?" Dad replied, "We'll make it right. Just help us get her across the finish line." That answer should have been enough to make me say no. Instead, I sent it with the memo closing funds loan. The private text from my mother came 2 days after the key photo. "It would mean so much if you could help make the housewarming nice for her. Money is tight after helping her get settled. Nothing huge. Just the catering deposit, maybe decorations." I called her instead of texting because I wanted to hear her say it. "Mom, I already helped with the closing issue." "I know, honey, and we appreciate that. This is different. This is family coming together to celebrate something good. Leah has had so many setbacks. Can't we just give her one beautiful day?" "Who is we?" There was a pause. "Don't be harsh. I asked you because I knew you would understand." That was another family rule. Understanding meant paying. I did agree, but not the way I used to. I paid the catering deposit with my debit card, ordered some decorations, and picked up disposable plates, napkins, sparkling cider, and 2 bags of ice. I saved every confirmation. I printed the bigger ones and put them in a thin folder. Not because I planned some dramatic reveal. I told myself it was protection. If nobody planned to lie, proof shouldn't scare them. The day of the housewarming, I arrived early because of course I did. Leah's new place smelled like fresh paint, lemon cleaner, and the kind of candle that tries too hard to smell expensive. There was a framed photo of her holding her keys on the entry table, next to a sign that said "New Beginnings." The kitchen island was covered with a charcuterie board, plastic cups, sparkling cider bottles, and a Costco cake with "Congratulations, Leah," written in blue frosting. Leah was wearing a cream sweater and gold hoops, taking pictures near the front window. "Oh good," she said when she saw the bags in my hands. "Can you put those in the kitchen? Mom is freaking out about ice." "No thank you. No hello. Just logistics." Mom appeared behind her and kissed my cheek quickly. "You're a lifesaver. Can you start setting the plates out? Leah needs to finish getting ready." "It's her housewarming," I said. Mom gave me the look. The one that said, "Please don't make me manage your feelings right now. Audrey, not today." So I set out plates. I opened cider. I moved folding chairs. I wiped a spill near the coffee table while Leah posed with cousins under a balloon arch I had paid for. People arrived, hugged Leah, admired the kitchen backsplash, and told her how proud they were. My parents floated around like hosts at a charity gala. Dad kept clapping Leah on the shoulder and saying, "She did it. She really did it." First I kept quiet. I told myself this was Leah's day. I told myself not every truth had to be spoken at every event. I stood by the dessert table cutting cake while Aunt Carol told me the house was such a testament to discipline. "Whose discipline?" I almost asked. Instead I smiled and said, "It's a nice house." Then my dad tapped a spoon against a plastic cup. The room settled. Leah stood between Mom and Dad near the kitchen island. Mom had one hand on Leah's back like she was presenting her to the world. Dad lifted his cup. "I just want to say," he began using his calm, serious voice, "how proud we are of Leah. Some people wait around for help. Some people make excuses. But Leah went out and built her own life. She did this with grit, discipline, and faith in herself." People clapped. Leah put a hand over her mouth like she was trying not to cry. My face got hot, but I stayed still. Dad continued, "She never asked for handouts. She proved that when you work hard, you can stand on your own 2 feet. That was when I felt something in me go very quiet. It wasn't rage exactly. Rage feels hot. This was cold. Clear." Leah laughed through her fake tears and said, Buying a house definitely teaches you who really supports you and who just judges from the sidelines. A few cousins chuckled awkwardly. One of them glanced at me and then looked away. Mom's eyes flicked toward me, warning me to behave. I still said nothing. After the toast, people spread back out. I carried empty cups to the trash, cut more cake, and listened to Leah tell someone she had sacrificed so much to get there. Then Mom came over holding a black trash bag and pressed it into my hand in front of 3 relatives. "Can you take this out and start another one?" she said brightly. Then with a little laugh she added, "Audrey's good at cleaning up after people." The relatives laughed because they thought it was a harmless mom joke. I looked at the trash bag, then at my mother, then at Leah, who was smiling at her phone, probably checking how many likes her independence post had gotten. Before I could speak, Aunt Carol came up beside me and lowered her voice. "Honey, are you okay?" "I'm fine," I said automatically. She frowned. "I just thought maybe with the paperwork and everything, this might feel a little strange." My hand tightened around the trash bag. "What paperwork?" Aunt Carol's face changed immediately. She looked toward my mother, then back at me. "Oh, I thought they told you." "Told me what?" "Your parents finally got the asset plan handled, so Leah wouldn't have to worry later. Your mom said it was all settled. I assumed you knew." For a second, the party noise blurred. Plastic cups clinking. Someone laughing near the hallway. The cake knife scraping cardboard. Leah saying, "No, get my good side," from the living room. I stepped into the hall with the trash bag still in my hand. There was an email from the family attorney sitting unread in my inbox from earlier that week. I had seen the name and ignored it because I assumed it was another generic estate update. My parents had always told me everything would be fair. They had said more than once that whatever family asset they had would be split evenly between Leah and me. I never counted on it. I never built my life around it. But I believed them. The subject line said Revised Asset Plan Disclosure Notice. I opened it. I didn't read every legal phrase. I didn't need to. The words that mattered jumped out fast enough. Revised Asset Plan. Majority share assigned to Leah. Greater financial need. Audrey is stable and self-sufficient. I stood there in the hallway of the house I had helped decorate, holding trash my mother had handed me, reading that my parents had quietly decided Leah deserved more because I needed less. Not because I had received more. Not because I had been treated equally in some other way. Because I had survived being useful. My hands were steady in a way that scared me. Then I did something I had never done before. I searched my messages right there. Leah. Mom. Paperwork. Party. A thread with Mom came up because she had sent me a screenshot by accident weeks earlier and then deleted it. But deleted texts don't always disappear if someone already saw the notification preview. And I had a screenshot because the message felt strange at the time. There it was. Leah. Don't tell Audrey until after the party. She'll get dramatic and make it about her. Mom had replied, I know. I'll handle your sister. I leaned against the hallway wall and let the truth settle. Leah knew. My mother knew Leah knew. My father had asked me for money while this was already happening. They hadn't forgotten me. They had calculated around me. A few months earlier that would have broken me. I would have gone into the bathroom, cried quietly, washed my face, and come back out to serve cake so nobody would be uncomfortable. This time I opened my folder from my tote bag. I took screenshots of the attorney's email and forwarded it to myself. I saved Leah's text again. I put my phone face down on top of the folder and walked back into the party. I didn't interrupt. I let Dad finish another round of bragging to Uncle Mark about how Leah had really matured. I let Leah make another joke when I walked in. Careful, she said, loud enough for people to hear. Audrey looks like she's about to send me a spreadsheet. A couple of people laughed. Evan, my cousin, didn't. He watched me from near the fridge, his expression neutral but alert. Mom came over and took my elbow. Audrey, she whispered, smiling with her mouth and not her eyes, please don't start tonight. Leah deserves one nice thing. I haven't started anything. You have that look. What look? The one where you decide everyone is against you. I looked at her hand on my arm until she removed it. Mom, can you just be honest for one night? Her smile tightened. Excuse me. By then a few people had gone quiet. Leah looked up from her phone. Dad noticed the shift and walked over with his cup still in his hand. "What is going on?" he asked. Mom raised her voice slightly, making sure the room could hear her version first. "Audrey is having feelings because everyone is happy for her sister." That sentence did it. Not because it was the worst thing she had ever said, but because it was so practiced. So easy. She knew exactly where to put the knife. Make me look petty before I could explain the wound. I set the trash bag on the floor. I placed my phone and the thin folder on the dessert table, right next to the half-cut Costco cake. "Do you want me to pretend in front of everyone?" I asked. "Or do you want me to tell the truth in front of everyone?" The room went silent in pieces. First the people closest to us, then the kitchen, then the living room. Dad's jaw tightened. "This is not the time." It became the time when you made a toast about Leah doing everything without help. Leah crossed her arms. "Wow, you brought receipts to my housewarming." "Yes," I said. "I did." Mom let out a sharp little laugh. "See? This is what I mean. Everything has to be harsh with you. Family does not keep score, Audrey." I opened the folder. Family apparently keeps asset plans. That hit the room differently. Aunt Carol put a hand over her mouth. Dad's face went red. Not embarrassed red, angry red. Leah froze. I took out the catering receipt first and laid it flat on the table. My card number was mostly covered, but my name and the amount were visible. "This is the catering deposit for today. Paid by me." Then the decoration order. "This is the balloon arch and the table setup. Paid by me." Then the bank transfer confirmations. "This is the money Dad asked me to send when Leah had a closing-related emergency. This is the credit card payment he said might affect her mortgage approval. This is the plumbing bill Mom asked me to cover because Dad was stressed. These are the car payments, the grocery transfers, and the family party costs that were all just this once." Leah's voice cracked, but not in a sad way. In an angry way. "You are seriously humiliating me over money right now?" I looked at her. "No. You humiliated me over money when you stood here letting everyone clap for a lie." Dad stepped closer. "Private family matters stay private. You made it public when you toasted a lie." Mom reached for the folder. I slid it back before her fingers touched it. "No," I said. "You don't get to hide behind family after using family as a payment plan." Her face twisted like I had slapped her. "After everything we have done for you?" I laughed once. I couldn't help it. "What exactly did you do for me, Mom? Tell everyone I was fine so nobody had to ask if I needed anything." Leah cut in. "This is why nobody tells you anything. You make everything about what you did. You act like helping people makes you a martyr." I picked up my phone and opened the screenshot. "You mean like when you told Mom not to tell me about the revised plan until after the party because I would get dramatic?" Leah's mouth opened. No sound came out. That silence was louder than any confession. Aunt Carol whispered, "Leah." I turned the phone so Mom, Dad, Leah, and the relatives closest to us could see the message. I didn't pass it around. I didn't need to. Evan leaned slightly, read it, and looked away like he had just witnessed something ugly that couldn't be unseen. Then I placed the attorney's email on the table. "And this is the revised asset plan. The one where Leah gets the majority share because she has greater financial need, and I am stable and self-sufficient. Which is interesting because my stability seems to be the reason you keep asking me to pay for her instability." Dad said my name in that warning tone he used when I was a teenager. "Audrey. Enough." For the first time in my life it didn't work. No more emergency loans. No more quiet fixes. No more using my silence as permission. I was happy for Leah. I wasn't happy being erased. "I am not asking you to clap for me. I am asking you to stop spending my money and calling me selfish." Leah started crying then, but only after people were looking at her differently. "You ruined my night," she said. I gathered my folder, put my phone in my bag and picked up my coat. "I hope the rest of the party is as independent as the toast." Then I walked out. I didn't take out the trash. I didn't cut another slice of cake. I didn't check the kitchen. I didn't ask if anyone needed ice. My phone started buzzing before I reached my car. Doorbell camera notification. Family group chat. Mom. Dad. Leah. Mom again. Cousin. Dad again. I sat behind the wheel in the quiet and stared at my hands on the steering wheel. I didn't cry right away. That surprised me. I thought I would fall apart. Instead, I felt like I had walked out of a room I had been locked in for years, and only then realized the door was never locked. I had just been trained not to touch the knob. The group chat was already a disaster. Mom, I cannot believe you humiliated us like that. Dad, call me. This has gone too far. Leah, you are bitter and jealous. Congrats. Aunt Carol. Everyone please calm down. Some relatives sent question marks. Some liked my mother's message instead of writing their own. One cousin wrote, "Probably should have handled this privately, Audrey." I typed 3 different replies and deleted them all. Then I sent one message. Private didn't work. Quiet didn't work. Paying for things while being lied about is over. Then I left the chat. That night I did practical things. Not dramatic things. I didn't post screenshots online. I didn't call Leah names. I didn't send a 10-page essay to the family. I made tea I barely drank and opened my laptop at the kitchen table. First, I canceled the automatic monthly transfer I had been sending my parents temporarily for almost a year. It had started as help with a bill. It had become invisible. Then I emailed my parents. Going forward, I will not discuss money by text or phone. Any financial request needs to be in writing. Any amount previously described as a loan needs a written repayment plan by the end of the month. I will not pay for Leah's debts, bills, parties, gifts, repairs, emergencies, or image management. I read it twice and sent it before I could soften it. Then I texted Leah once. Do not contact me for money again. She responded almost immediately. You're insane. Then another. You knew I couldn't handle all this alone. That one sat on my phone glowing like a confession. I didn't answer. The next morning Dad called 7 times. I let every call go to voicemail. His messages started stern and turned frustrated. Audrey, this is your father. You need to call me. Then, you embarrassed your mother. Then, we can talk about the money, but what you did in front of family was unacceptable. Not once did he say, we should have told you. Mom's texts were worse because they were softer. I don't understand why you have to make everything so painful. Your sister has always needed a softer landing. You have always been fine, Audrey. Leah actually needed us. I almost replied to that one. I almost wrote, I needed you too. But I didn't want to hand her another sentence she could twist into me being emotional and unreasonable. So I saved the screenshots and moved on. 2 days later, I put my parents' spare house key in a padded envelope with a short note. I am returning your key. Please mail mine back or leave it with Aunt Carol. It felt petty for about 5 minutes. Then it felt peaceful. The consequences didn't arrive all at once. They came in small, ordinary ways, which somehow made them more satisfying. The caterer emailed me about the remaining balance from the housewarming. I replied with Marilyn's contact information and wrote, I was only responsible for the deposit. Please direct any remaining invoice to the host. That afternoon, my dad left a voicemail that was mostly breathing through his nose. Audrey, did you really refuse to pay the balance? I deleted it. A week later, Leah sent me 4 texts in a row. Nice job. My payment bounced. Hope you're proud. You knew I couldn't cover everything this month. I stared at those messages for a long time, not because I felt guilty, but because I realized how automatic my guilt used to be. Before I would have panicked. I would have opened my banking app. I would have sent something, then hated myself quietly while Leah went back to calling me controlling. This time I put the phone down and finished folding my laundry. Mom canceled a family weekend she had been bragging about for months. I heard about it from Aunt Carol, who texted me privately. I am not asking for details if you don't want to give them, but your mother said the weekend is off because money is complicated right now. I owe you an apology. I only heard her version. I thought you were being cold and uninvolved. I am sorry. I read that message 3 times. It didn't fix everything, but it mattered. I replied, thank you for saying that. Evan texted me the next day. For what it's worth, you didn't cause a scene. You stayed calm. The receipts caused the scene. That made me laugh for the first time in days. More relatives shifted slowly. Not publicly, of course. Families like mine rarely do public apologies. They send careful private messages at odd hours. I didn't know you paid for all that. Your mom made it sound different. I still think the party wasn't ideal, but I get why you snapped. I wanted to say, I didn't snap. I documented. But I let most of them sit. I was done auditioning for a jury that had been happy to convict me without evidence. My mother finally called 3 weeks later. I almost didn't answer. Then I decided I wanted to know what version of reality she was ready to try. I let it ring twice and picked up. Hi, Mom. She was quiet for a second. I still think you embarrassed us, she said. There it was. Not an apology. A complaint wearing softer shoes. I sat at my kitchen table, looking at the clean surface, the lack of emergency receipts, the silence of a phone that no longer controlled my breathing. You were embarrassed because people heard the truth, I said. I was embarrassed for years because I was expected to fund the lie. She inhaled sharply. That is not fair. Which part? We never meant to hurt you. You may not have meant to. You still did. And when I showed proof, you were more upset that people saw it than that it happened. She didn't answer. I continued before I lost the nerve. These are my conditions if you want a normal relationship with me. Any borrowed money gets a written repayment plan. I will not pay for Leah's debts, emergencies, parties, gifts, or anything else. And you and Dad need to acknowledge the favoritism without calling it love. Mom's voice got small, but not soft enough to be safe. Your sister needed more help. Then you should have helped her with your money and your honesty. Not my money and my silence. She cried then, quietly. For years, her crying would have made me rush to comfort her. That had been my job too. Smooth Mom's feelings. Make sure nobody felt guilty for making me feel small. This time I let the silence sit. I don't know if your father will agree to all that, she said. Then you don't have a normal relationship with me yet. Felt cruel for 1 second. Then it felt accurate. Dad didn't agree at first. He sent one email because I had told them that was the only way I would discuss money, and even his email sounded like he was gripping the steering wheel. We disagree with how you handled this. We also need time to review what you are claiming is owed. I replied with a spreadsheet. Dates. Amounts. Memos. Screenshots attached. No insults. No emotional paragraphs. Just facts. He didn't respond for 9 days. Leah blocked me for a week. Then she unblocked me to send one text. Are you really going to let the family fall apart over money? I looked at it while standing in my kitchen, waiting for toast to pop up. Such a normal little moment. Such an old little trap. I deleted the thread without answering. Because it was never just money. Money was the part with numbers. Money was the part one could print and highlight and lay on a dessert table next to a cake. The deeper part was being assigned strength so nobody had to care whether I was tired. It was being praised as responsible when they meant convenient. It was being told I didn't need help by the same people who needed me constantly. I don't know if my family will ever admit all of it. Maybe my dad will always think I should have kept quiet. Maybe my mother will always believe Leah needed a softer landing, and I should have been proud to provide it. Maybe Leah will never understand that independence is not the same thing as being carried quietly by people you mock in public. But I know what changed. The next time my phone buzzed with a family emergency, I didn't jump. The next time someone called me selfish, I didn't scramble to prove I was good. The next time my mother hinted that helping Leah would mean so much, I wrote back, I hope you figure it out, and went back to my dinner while it was still hot. For the first time in my life, being called selfish didn't scare me. It sounded like the price of finally belonging to myself. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.